Salute everybody, the creatures of chat still present, and those who are not so announced in chat but are still here nonetheless. I'm here to take over for our back half alongside the beautiful trombone playing man beside me, Rainstorms. Please say hello.
Hello, chat, and those who are watching. Deli, how are you tonight?
I'm feeling quite great, and the mood only rises with the sight of the beautiful red on sky blue, or you call it turquoise a little bit, that we've got going on between our San Antonio versus Carolina match. The match we just watched, it kind of went by awfully quickly, so I had to put my bowl of grapes and fantastically dressed servants aside to hop on the mic for a little bit. How are you feeling about our match that we've got coming up?
I mean, just from the color alone, these two combines kind of reminds me of those, those like sour gummy worms. You know what I'm talking about?
I do, and they
The
had like the
best
little
absolute
powder.
one was, oh yeah, the best absolute one was this color combo of blue and red. Green and orange can eat their heart out. I'm excited though because we have a hungry team, for lack of a better word, in the Carolina Reapers, full of some big players. We're looking at bowls and goals. We're looking at Motions AX as some of the biggest cap hits in the league, and yet they are 0 and 1 with all of that cap potential. So they're going to be looking back to come and right the ship in this week 2 matchup.
Yeah, I definitely think that when you go down in your first week, you definitely come back with a bit of vengeance, which is definitely what I'm going to be doing this weekend myself. I got swept, similar to what we just saw on stream. So I can tell what these guys are feeling right now as they're getting ready to play. And for San Antonio, it's an unfamiliar feeling for me right now, but winning week one is an awesome feeling because you start off your season on the right foot. You can't do much more wrong than you began with. And really, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not San Antonio keeps up their pace or if Carolina are going to topple the mountain of the week one loss and get themselves in here. But we can get these players going at any time. Actually, some of them are opting to leave us, which is a bit sad. But
We're
I,
having
they're
some reports of a issue with a server from the Carolina Reapers, so we're looking at doing a quick server exchange as we are getting ready to start this back half.
just means we get to talk about it a little bit more. I mean, speaking of
Yeah,
those gummy worms, I just want to touch back up on that. Right? You said your favorite was the blue and red, yeah, but I mean those
absolutely.
orange, they weren't bad. They were not bad.
You cannot call them bad, but when compared to the divine beauty that was red to blue, there's just no question.
You're right. The red to blue was kind of unmatched. But I mean, really, the yellow and green, it wasn't like I left them last or anything. It was just kind of I reached for whatever one I got. I don't know. I don't know if you were that type of person. Did you ever like to save like your favorite colored candy for last when you got the bag?
Oh, I can't do that because then you have to work through so much anguish to get to the sweet nougaty center of your favorite treat. It's just not worth it.
I don't know. I was definitely that type of person. I would get all the like for example with like Lucky Charms. You ever like eat the non marshmallows and save the that was me. I was that type of person.
I respect it. I respect it.
But yeah, I do believe our lobby is just about up. It's just that my slow console is going to take a couple years to load in. So I think we're probably all waiting on me.
We are still waiting on the Reaper. San Antonio Revenge is here, and they are looking to keep the Revenge away from them as the Carolina Reapers, behind 9 goals on 28 shots from bowls and goals in that week one. What do you say when almost half of your team's shots come from one player and 66% of the goals also come from that same player?
When I see someone with a high shot total, and not to say that their shot percentage is bad either, uh, I do think that it's a sign that they are a team that has a designated shooter, pretty much. Someone you're confident in feeding the ball to. And in that case, it's got to be bowls and goals, especially with 28. When you've got 28, you're definitely finding your rhythm on offense. And I do believe they are no, are they in here? No, they're not in here. So unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be adding to that total just yet. But uh, that is certainly a number to peek your head at because they could be pretty much campaigning for that top striker spot come the end of the season. And when you start off with 9 and 28 shots, you're not too far off from that goal. I'll tell you what.
We do have two new players in the Reapers, though. Dan and Tiger coming in, swapping for Bulls and Goals and Redtail. It'll be interesting to see if those two substitutions can earn them their first victory of the season.
I am excited to see if we're going to see anybody else rise up to an insanely high shot total, uh, like we've seen from Bulls and Goals. Maybe one of their players are gonna, take over and try to get themselves on that list instead. It's not too late to run away with things while your main striker's on the field. But I do believe our players are getting into our match now. So enough talking about it, our favorite candies and all sorts of nonsense. It's time to talk some Rocket League as we get our kickoff underway. Looks like Carolina are going to get the opening possession as Dan will follow this one up in the air. Bumped way off, though, so that's the first possession done and dusted. Nothing too crazy going on yet, but I am excited to see which team is going to get their first goal.
A little bit of an early feign from Tiger. We see a really dangerous position for San Antonio early on, as that backflip could have been costly, but here we see another quick save in succession.
God Kitty with a great touch up the wing, and they're going to follow one on one with Tiger, and the 50 a little awkward. It pokes out center, loose ball, and Tiger back to save it, but Barb's going to keep it back in motion, safely playing it in their own corner. Over top of God Kitty, buys their team some time. Looks like they're low on boost, though, and Tiger, not too confident, ends up taking it slow and lets in the goal.
San Antonio doing a good job early on of keeping that pressure in tight. Cordial's able to get quite an angle on that the wall play. You really have to know how your car is going to come off that wall, floats into that top corner.
And now San Antonio are going to keep up their pace with their win from last week, and they start off by taking control in game one, and it only can go down from here. You've got the lead to start off as a demo there. Barbs has to make a bit of a chase down, though not too tested on the save. Tiger off the corner, and God Kitty quick to lap up that one and send it back out. A miss. God Kitty takes over, shoots. The trigger is pulled, Bar down, and it gets past Dan. Don't think they saw that bounce coming, and now San Antonio up big.
2-0 quick. We had a little bit of a mistake from Tiger as you see him come in close to try to knock God Kitty off of his path. God Kitty getting behind Tiger, though, and actually bumping him out of any save opportunity, leaving it open for that second goal.
The big problem I'm seeing right now for Carolina is their goalkeepers need to be more aggressive on the goal line, and it's been their errors. But Tiger here going to make up for their last one with this goal.
Dan with an excellent pop-up. You see, at that point, with that angle, in fact, most players would opt to bang it up along the boards, resplendent away from that shot, but Tiger's able to get that angle. What a shot.
Certainly respecting your teammate, and Carolina need to start doing that a little bit more to get themselves through this little situation that they've got themselves here. Tiger into the corner. Motion's going to turn off and uncontest that ball as Cordial gets it through one without any move at all. Another big miss, and this ball will roll center. Barbs taking it over off the back wall. A good 50 there. Dan is up. Dockety takes over and now has room to move, but Tiger will close down the angle. Cordial in the same situation, but Carolina are getting a bit more aggressive on defense. They're not letting San Antonio have their previous space, and they're currently finding success because of it.
Absolutely. And San Antonio early on, we saw with Cordial just on the wall, he's able to maintain that pressure and stay patient. Even on the wall, he's able to maintain that handle of the ball. Playing a little bit of mind games, we see his first goal in the season come from it.
Here comes the ball for Tiger, and they're going to come up the wing motions. Had room to dunk that one, but the touch will clear things out. Tiger had a center and left the ball when there was nobody quite around, maybe unaware of where their teammates were, but Dan off the back wall motions, touching down off the ceiling, and Tiger opts to stay back, not liking what they saw. Now they're forward, they shoot, and they found room to fire, but couldn't get it inside the wickets, and they will come out empty-handed, still down one.
We saw a little bit of a defensive breakdown in the rotation for San Antonio. Cordial opting to go to that back post position, stood there for just a moment, then decided to leave. At that very moment, that quick shot from Carolina could not find its mark.
Now Motion's looking to create a new opportunity for them, but that clear comes forth awfully early. Barb sends it down the wing and will send things back to the Carolina half, which is where San Antonio wanted because there's less danger down there than there is up here in their zone. But Motion's out of boost, leaves it for Cordial. Tiger off the back wall, has room to touch it again. They touch it down, and they can't get a shot in time. Carolina are losing their aggression in the final third that they have in their own third.
That's exactly the touch that Tiger wanted, but he didn't have the support from his teammates in the time that he needed it. Really, if you're in this league, you have to create your own offensive chances by keeping up the pressure and being in position to support your teammates.
And now we have to see if Carolina can kind of get over this. I mean, I wouldn't call it much of a slump because they're the most recent to score, but it looks like they're having a lot of struggle here on offense. As a 50 there, Tiger found an opportunity, but Barbs will close that down. Almost bumped off the ball, but the perfect backflip will keep them in position. And I mean, it was a great move, but not too threatening. But now here's Cordial looking for a read. Comes back to Barbs, who shoots. Motions was there. Dan takes over, and it's a 2-on-2 up the wing. If they're fast enough, it's a 2-on-1, but they leave the ball in the corner off a miss. Tiger, 50's got Kitty. And now it looks like San Antonio have earned themselves some breathing room, but Motions takes over and almost got themselves a great move infield. But still, Carolina down one late in our match.
We're seeing close shot after close shot from the Reapers. They're making the chances. We see another clanger off the post. They're making those chances, but they have no finish. And that's going to cost them here in game one if they can't get a goal in 5 seconds.
Yeah, this is their last gasp effort as Dan takes over the possession, but leaves it off the corner, takes a bad bounce, and that's all San Antonio needs to kill this one. They will take game one, and it looked awfully convincing.
It did. We saw 2 goals from both teams where the first player to score was a new player for that team. So it's good to see that both teams are able to really have players to step in with a moment's notice. Hopefully they got some practice in this week. Really, the difference that we saw between these two teams, Carolina not as aggressive as they needed to be, and San Antonio a little bit more patient than Carolina was expecting. What did you think?
I thought that Carolina had a lot of the right pieces of the puzzle. It's just that they weren't quite putting it together. I don't think this is anything where they can look at this and say like, "Oh man, this might be a repeat of week one where we just couldn't get things going for us." I think they really can turn this thing around if they just put a little bit more aggression on the ball forward. They definitely patched the problems on defense that they had early, and really the only thing that was left in my mind was what was going on when they entered San Antonio's half. And I think for San Antonio, they have nothing really they need to change because they were shutting down Carolina ever since they got their first goal. They patched every mistake out of their game, but they were still leaving room that Carolina just wasn't capitalizing on. Wouldn't be surprised to see this one go in favor of the Reds here in our match.
And San Antonio missing their 2 biggest block stoppers of the first week. You see Andy with 7 saves and Queso Claris with 9 saves each, neither of whom are available for this week. So the Reaper, if they can find those open chances, San Antonio may find themselves wishing they had their backstops.
I wouldn't say necessarily that they're quite missing them considering they only allowed one in game one. That's no total to really shake your head at. 5 minutes is a short time anywhere else in the world, but when you only have 5 minutes to play an entire game, it suddenly feels a lot longer than it really is. So to only let in one through, I'd say, give or take with the goal, I'd say they were probably playing defense for a good half of that game. I didn't really think either team had domination of the possession. I'd say you did a pretty good job making things happen for yourself. And here we are for game two, where we'll see if either of our predictions are going to come to life, as Carolina are going to get the ball early with an offensive chance, and God Kitty, who you mentioned played last week and was making a couple saves, though not as much as their teammates, they make one early.
Absolutely. We see that aggression coming right out the bat with Carolina Reaper. One of the ways that you can change the script in your favor is upping your physicality, taking away any opportunities by bringing the body.
I don't think you were supposed to announce that we have a script. That might have been a bit of a blunder.
The
Either
points
way,
are made
both
up. Nothing is
here.
ever real.
Oh no, Santa Claus isn't real. The Easter Bunny isn't real. There's a
There's
number of
no
things
Queen of
that are
England.
there. There's no state of Ohio, so I've heard, but I don't know. Some people like to differ, but I don't trust them. Here's a shot. Barbs doesn't trust anybody in goal and just fires themselves. And just like the Easter Bunny Santa Claus, the defense for Carolina was a social construct here on this play.
Absolutely. We see a defensive gaff for the Reaper here early on. Nobody left in net as a little bit of the double commit in no man's land as they're trying to block any shot opportunity. And you've got Cordial hanging out in the back of the net, just waiting for it, watching it.
And here's another loose ball that God Kitty fires, and suddenly the defense that I was praising for Carolina is falling a little bit down the pegs here, and now they've let up too early again.
A little bit of a breakdown in communication between Tiger and Dan, both of whom are in a good position to make it clear, but both go for it only a half amount as they both realize kind of a no you go moment. So they've really got to pack down that communication.
Carolina, once they patch that out, their defense, or not their defense, but their offense has looked okay so far in this game. To be fair, as there is a chance there, and it's left behind for Tiger. Bumped the goalie off, and that shot was very close to target, just couldn't get the right angle. Carolina's still empty-handed, but for how long as Dan moves up, had boost to read, but left it behind, and motions a little bit off target with the GPS, and I don't think that's exactly what they wanted, but still, they've got themselves 0. And it's only a matter of time until someone breaks through, and I feel like Carolina are knocking on the door.
And they're absolutely reeling from this onslaught that we're seeing from San Antonio. San Antonio is able to do a little bit more with a little bit less as we're seeing a lot of plays from boost starved San Antonio. Right as we see that, with no boost, he almost mounts a third goal and a great clear from Cordial.
But there's a chance for Carolina, and Tiger gets the shot, and a fortunate shooter's bounce puts it right back on their hood to slip it through the two. And now Carolina aren't too far out of it. We're almost in the exact same situation we were in for game 1, but it just looks worse for Carolina somehow.
Almost, and maybe they can take a lesson from game 1 and really pepper the goal as we see Dan coming up off of that quick kickoff cheat up. And there is no hope for San Antonio to come back in that defensive rotation as Barbs gets a 50-50 off of Dan.
Of course, I'm proven wrong in the best way possible. As I said, I thought it was looking worse for Carolina, but here they go, tying things up for the first time in this series. And now I think, now that the magnifying glass isn't as tight on their defense, their offense looking okay. And I don't think that they should be shaking their heads too much at what they're playing on right now, because at the current moment, they're playing much more solid on both ends. They just kind of flipped the switch after their first goal. Gonna have to see if they can keep it up.
Absolutely, and you got to keep that pressure on at all times. You can't turtle and bring it back as we see almost a double commit turn into a goal for San Antonio.
God Kitty with the dribble in midfield turns it. Beats Dan, still has boost to work with, though Motions will take that right away. Motions looking for a demo, but Cordial gets through, has Dan to beat, and Dan wins out on the 50s. So right now, Carolina trusting their 50s, but I do wonder, what are they going to do when their last man is beat on a 50? Because they've been throwing their players forward in confidence.
They have. That aggressiveness can play to your favor, but it also hurts you in some fashion. If you're not having a man back, those 50-50s can bite you if it goes the wrong way.
Here comes Cordial with a 50, and that pops out in center. Tiger again challenged to make that last man back 50, and they win that one big. But God Kitty touches at center. Could be their undoing because Motions was there, but can't find a shot. Looking for a demo. Barbs jumps away. Dan 50s that one. Thought they had a shot on target. It'll bounce in the corner. God Kitty again challenged here. Dan is up, and Barbs will get that one out. And that might be the end of that attack, though Tiger has something to say about it. They're coming up the wing, and Cordial leaves it. Motions shoots, and that's a big save. Thought that might have gotten through, but the dodge freezes the height, and they'll get the better of that one.
Excellent card control from Cordial in that do-or-die moment with a minute remaining. He's able to float in air, preserving his boost just long enough until he needs it for the last second save.
And with a minute to go, any mistake could be the last one here. especially when you're already down a game like Carolina is. You definitely need to put things together here, and that was their most glaring chance in the past couple of minutes, if I do say so. God, Kitty. 50's Barbs, and Barbs had all the boost, but ended up getting demoed in that pile, and now suddenly San Antonio are reeling after being on offense. The clear from God Kitty has boost to work with. Tiger last to beat. They flick it. It gets over everybody. Bar down, and Cordial will finish it. Looked like it might have popped out for a second.
Carolina punished by the classic boost after ball dilemma. We see them going back in defense. They're good enough to come back early. They recognize that, but instead of going towards the net, or rather taking advantage of the ball position, they go for that corner, and they're not able to catch up to that goal line in time.
I thought San Antonio was the one in big trouble there, but they turned things around really quickly and got it done. And now Carolina tasked to score again here, or else they'll be facing on the barrel of a sweep. Tiger up the ball, bounces in corner. Barbs misses off a bump from a teammate, though Dan can't shoot it. Motions can't get it in the corner, and San Antonio 2 in a row here, and now they just have one more game to win to get away from this series.
The Reapers may not have been as spicy as we thought. You do not want to fall back 0-2 to begin the season. It's bound to happen to some teams, but after a first loss in week one, that's really time for you to take a look at your weaknesses, analyze what you as a team need to do in communication and rotation, and strategize your way into a victory. Carolina's really going to need to keep up their speed, but keep up their communication and really bolster their defense if they want to take away the sweep from San Antonio.
Yeah, I think Carolina had all the right ideas there in the final moment. They got a demo. Not sure if they knew that they had no boost, but they made a huge push there all at once. And it really seemed like the right thing to do, except it just ended up being their undoing because of a quick counterattack. I really I hate to see a team kind of go down like this, because when you go down in 2 straight weeks, not to say that they have already, but just saying theoretically, if they do, they go down 2-0, they lose this series. You're banking on, because you have no other option. You have to bank on making a big push through the table for the rest of your season, because you can't guarantee that going 500 is going to get you through your playoffs or your division. You have no idea how tough your division is going to be so early in the season.
Especially in such a cutthroat league as the Macaroni League. For folks at home who aren't aware of the MMR rankings, Macaroni League is all Champ 3. So it's just at the cusp of that Grand Champ, and this is a hungry group of players all vying for that top slot at the end.
And I mean, it sure is tough to get through. I unfortunately ranked out during my first season after I think week 4, so I didn't get to see Las Vegas in what is now still LL. I think, yeah, it's still LL down there. I didn't get to see the playoffs from there, but they made it. I'm sure that was really exciting. I was there with them most of the way, but I didn't get myself back on a team, so I haven't experienced what the final stages of weeks are in this league yet. But I've been around to see things unfold, and there is definitely no room for mistakes, especially when you go down the line. Going down 2 is almost signing off your season right then and there, because you really ask a lot from your depth and your top squad in general to take on whoever is thrown at them.
Absolutely. What is the biggest key takeaway in your mind for Carolina to change now and in a hurry if they want to avoid that sweep?
I think they need to stop working on letting their third man back get that 50 to clear things out. I think they need to commit a little bit more on offense too. Uh, I mean, to be fair, throwing the third man back to win that 50 is pretty much committing yourself to offense, but that'll be your undoing shortly. And in the case of San Antonio here, they've been quick to strike on counterattacks. So I really think that's their big thing, is to just work more solid on defense. Their offense has been struggling. Get more aggressive on your offense to catch up on the few mistakes that have been made, and just make sure they can't break through your defense. Because if they can't break through your defense, you're in a great spot nonetheless. But here we go to see if they can put anything we talked about into practice here in Game 3. As Dan over to Motions, they'll get it through. Cordial will take it over into the wing, up the wall by themselves, flicks it center for God Kitty, who's up. Motions takes over, though, and here's a mistake. They could pounce on his Tiger with the demo. Dan is there to shoot, and they miss. No one was in goal whatsoever, and they couldn't hit it up in the basket. Oh,
You can't let that happen. They did a great job, team play, tic-tac-toe, of setting up that opportunity. You saw God Kitty get demolished, excuse me, get beat up in the air, and then another San Antonio Revenge getting demolished in net, leaving it wide open. You cannot miss those open net shots in a game 3 of a best of 5.
You could almost consider it divine intervention that that ball did not find its way into your goal. You beg and pray as your demo to hope that it doesn't find its way through, and it didn't. And here's another chance where they might have to look back to the heavens because Motions is up and touches in center. Tiger is there, and they couldn't hit the brakes in time, too far forward, and they'll miss out on another chance. Carolina have everything going for them except for the last touch.
Seeing a lot of bloops and blasts downfield. We're seeing a little bit less of the control from both teams. Probably some high octane energy going into it. San Antonio smelling that sweep, and Carolina Reapers fighting for a chance to stay alive here in week 2.
Definitely have to be feeling the pressure of having to play offense, and it's shown some blunders. They're really doing everything, and I'm so happy with what I'm seeing. It's just that the shooter is always the undoing of the attack, and they just have to get the ball in the net, and hopefully they can reset as Dan won't get it there because the clear's there. God Kitty sends it on target, but Motions takes over on the dribble. Good 50 there, will touch it into the offensive zone. Tiger's up, and they get the shot off a miss, and another miss on the shot. Dan is forward one-on-one, and they can't even get it through. Right now, Carolina are just being left empty-handed. Here's another chance, and still they can't even get it on target. What do they have to do to break through?
Just peppering that goal line shot after shot, but none of it can go through as we see another off the post with an insane double touch. It's like nothing can go in.
A force field in the goal of San Antonio, and it's been working in their favors. Not sure what type of voodoo artist they've called upon for this sort of act, but it's been working for them here, as halfway through they just can't put it on target. They don't need to make any saves because they can't shoot it to begin with, and it just hurts to watch because they are completely untrusting the defense time and time again, and the shot is just a week and a half off the frame. Here's another chance, and they finally break it through. Dan breaks the drought, the curse lifted, and the Reapers are going to have a big sigh of relief.
Take a breath. Deli. Finally, a little bit of control from Dan, taking the patience to maintain control of that ball, and he's able to lift it past for the first goal of this game. I mean, for a while, it wasn't like we were watching Rocket League. We were watching someone play tennis against a brick wall.
It sure was satisfying to watch, just, the defense get broken over and over again, and then the shot, you held your breath. Is this the one? And then it finds its way off target again, and you watch it happen all over again. A pressure cooker in San Antonio's half, and eventually they broke through. Carolina looking for a second, though. Motions past the last man back, and all three forward. Nobody is back right now, but they're just struggling on defense, bumping each other. San Antonio won't capitalize.
Good effort from San Antonio on that back pressure. If nothing else for their inaccuracies, you really have to give it to Carolina. They've been maintaining an insane amount of offensive pressure as most of this game has taken place in the San Antonio back half. They're able to maintain that pressure despite the low percentage of goals.
That was the first time I thought in a while in this series that one team was certainly dominating the other. And even then, Carolina was still struggling in ways, as Dan there with a big miss. Tiger forward, and they can't get a shot either, as the seconds become even more precious for San Antonio because the sweep is right there. It's within reach. They can definitely make it happen if they can put things together here and now, as Motions through the midfield line. God Kitty misses out a touch, or I guess they might have gotten a little bit because it caught Motions off guard. Tiger is last back, and a lot of demos on the pitch, but nobody's quite breaking through on either side.
No, but those demos will eventually lead to chances for one team or another. So we see God Kitty coming up.
Barbs with the clear. God Kitty forward, touches it off the back wall, has a read, puts it off the wall instead, and all three players behind the ball. It's gonna roll in, and Barbs came from out of nowhere. I didn't even see them on my camera, but they got the last second save. Here's their final effort as the seconds tick away. God Kitty with plenty of boost coming in center, touches it, gives it the last effort, and that will hit the ground. No player was forward for that one. Carolina avoid the sweep.
Barb's really set up a wild ride there in the last 10 seconds, setting up a save for San Antonio, avoiding the 2-0 death kill. God Kitty punching it up, trying to do something with it, but Tiger slams it down, not wanting any of it. Woo! I think we all need a breather after that one from Carolina. I'm feeling the heat. It was delayed.
I sure am. It's that was something. I couldn't really figure out what was going on at the time, but every chance just opened my eyes more and more and more to the true struggles of Carolina's offense that weren't there before because they weren't under the magnifying glass. But once we took a deeper look at them on offense for about a minute and a half straight, we noticed that their problem is their finishing, not quite getting it into an attacking position.
Absolutely. If San Antonio is wanting to avoid a repeat of game three, they're going to need to take the aggressiveness up a little bit to match that offensive pressure from Carolina, take away those chances for those easy carries in their own back half, and then match it to come.
I do definitely think that they got a little complacent with their lead there in game three, and definitely there is room for them to pick up on. That's the big thing is their errors were something that can be fixed, but this one will be irreplaceable. The 0-0 lead broken as Tiger will win out against everyone.
Hitting off the post, off the backboard, off the wall, heck, off your own ceiling. Can't make a shot, but now finally we get the mathematical calculations from Tiger. What a 50-50 win and a fortuitous go-ahead in the first 5 seconds.
A good shooter's bounce works in the favor of Carolina, and now things don't look so bad. They've got themselves the lead to open. They're not playing from behind like they've had to do in other games, although they didn't have to play behind in game three, but you could argue that they were down big the whole time considering their offensive woes. But we're past that now as Carolina, they just look like they're in control right now, which is a surprise considering the story of the first two matches.
Absolutely. We see a lot of team play coming from Carolina, a lot more passing, a lot more observation and awareness of where your teammates are. We didn't really see that to begin this series, and it's coming up to help them as unfortunately we see a double commit. Maybe they're making me eat my own words.
Oh, that goes crossbar down out. Barbs had no boost. The best shot they could offer. Cordial up the wall in the corner. This will hit off the ceiling. Godkey with the miss as well. Barbs definitely had to get a touch of that or else it would have spelled trouble for San Antonio. As Godkitty here touches it over to Cordial. Touch center and it goes front side off the backboard, and the finish from Barbs can't come together as finally Carolina gets the defense together to pull that one out. But Godkitty's right back looking to make more mayhem happen, and Cordial will finish. Excellent. I believe that was a triple touch from,
Just about.
from Godkitty.
This equalizer was absolutely set up by Godkitty long before this replay started. With zero boost, he wisely and adeptly came back to that half line, grabbed some boost, and waited in the wings, waiting for that shot, and was able to put himself in position to make that assist.
If you have 30 boosts or better, you are a valuable asset on offense. As the wise words of Hornet have told me, watching my week one swap as I took a fat L week one. But as I said, if you've got 30 boosts, you're an asset, and that's exactly what Godkitty turned themselves into as they picked up that mid boost and turned around. But here with zero boost, they're going to touch this center, and there's another chance, though Cordial is going to sit back and look to capitalize. Barbs was looking for someone to cause mayhem with, but no one was there. And Carolina right now, they are certainly on the back foot because San Antonio are back in the driver's seat.
We saw a good amount of aggression from Godkitty. A lot of back-to-back tic-tac passes between, I believe, Tiger and Dan. Godkitty stood up in between, splitting the offensive pressure, and was able to take that away instantaneously.
Motions forward now. They don't have boost to follow, so Godkitty will get a big clear. And this pops out awkwardly, but Dan takes control. Adema will open things up for defense, so now the pressure mostly gone as Motions gets it over one. And now Tiger with the dribble has Cordial to beat. They flick it over Godkitty, and Dan is there to 50, but Cordial finds the angle, and now they're just going to dump it back into the zone. About half the game left, and now it seems like both teams have evened things out on our pitch.
Just about, and we're about to see Another chance from Carolina. We saw just a moment ago as Tiger carried it up as we see another score from Dan. His first goal, excuse me, of the game, giving Carolina the edge.
And that's just a great wall shot. Hard to get angles on the far side of the goal because there's so much time, first of all, for the ball to get there. And second of all, you have to be so perfect. But they find it there and it slips its way through. I don't think the defenders were quite ready, and it showed with the way that their saves were slow to get there. As now Motions looking to help hold this lead as Tiger, and I believe that was Dan? Yeah, it was Dan that flew across the goal together. Excuse me. Names, they get lost awfully quickly when these guys are moving so fast.
Absolutely. And it's easy to make a goal when you don't have to worry about a save by putting it out of reach of any defender that can get to it. You just don't have to worry about that at all. So great shot from Dan to lead the Carolina Reapers to their first lead of this game.
Now Motions will fire, and they pulled the trigger, but once again, Carolina, there's similar woes. They can't get the target. It works against them there as they miss out big. Tiger now with one to beat. God Kitty is bumped, and Tiger will lock that one in gently. So now they're up to their biggest lead of the series, and there's not much time left.
This is all about supporting your teammates. We saw Motions AX with the goal in mind, trying to make a play happen, missing it, but Tiger is there and takes control. We saw a lot of really great kind of just body control and car control for Tiger here in game 4, excuse me.
Now God Kitty moving up the wing, looking to level off the scoreline a little bit, make it more manageable. Barbs will put it center, and Cordial was too close to shoot that one. Now coming back into the corner. We'll see it in the corner here for San Antonio, excuse me. We see Barbs taking over, though Dan waiting to make a 50 happen. They have to make it happen quickly, though, because San Antonio, their clock is ticking against them right now.
They do not call the Carolina Reaper one of the hottest peppers for nothing. They've maintained an absolute aggressive play style here in this game 4, and that's really showing its ugly head for San Antonio.
Now Dan, one to beat, and God Kitty stands tall on the goal line, motions forward, trying to send the center. Tigers there, they shoot, and Barbs was there for the save, and not quite the big clear they were looking for, but I think it'll be enough because the clock will hit 0. The glass slipper doesn't fit. Carolina gonna take this thing in a game 5, winner take all.
And in that do or die situation, twice now, we are in reverse sweep territory as that delayed onset of the Capsaicins from the Reapers is potentially too much for the San Antonio squad to handle.
I think if you're San Antonio, you're definitely hoping for a little bit of that not hitting the target from Carolina again, because now that they're hitting the target, things are looking a little tough for them on defense, not going to lie. They found themselves struggling a lot here to keep up with how Carolina was playing. And I think this game's going to be no different if San Antonio can't take this moment to catch their breath. Definitely could be out of reach very, very quickly. This could get ugly if Carolina keeps playing the same way.
See a little bit of a truffle shuffle from the players on the field as we had an early join. We are going to have to do a server reset if we can't get everybody on the field.
Looks like they were a little too slow. I mean, it looks like they still want to play in spirits. I'm not sure if we've quite gotten a decision on that yet, but I see just about everybody moving on the pitch, though nobody has too much passion to move.
We have just gotten word that we are restarting this match due to an early join. God Kitty a little quick on the draw. He's excited to play in that game 5 reverse sweep scenario.
We'll have a little bit more time for San Antonio to think about things, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. It can only be good for you when you get yourself a little bit of a breather. So I'm sure San Antonio are going to come back. They're going to be calm. They're going to be composed, and especially the fact that they wanted to join so quickly can only mean good things. You definitely wouldn't want to join right away if you're feeling down on yourself. You definitely want to milk every second you've got on stream. Maybe that's what San Antonio is doing. Have we ever thought about that conspiracy theory? Maybe they're throwing for content.
They could be. I mean, you yourself, unfortunately, revealed to the entire chat that we do indeed have a script, and I have the winner right here on a cue card that I could be persuaded to reveal.
I I would say it's not a good idea because if someone goes rogue, goes off script, I mean, it is kind of in the name, rogue. So someone definitely could be doing just that right now and, ruin the whole thing for us. So I think it's probably the worst idea to go ahead and do it. Because if we do it, then they'll throw so that no one knows we have a script. You know what I mean? You don't have to say it, but I know you know. Our
For sure.
players are getting into our lobby here for game 5. It won't take very long for us to get underway again.
Can they do it? Can the Carolina Reaper avoid 0-2 and complete the Cinderella story of a reverse sweep?
Here we go on kickoff as God Kitty and Dan meeting of the minds in center to open things up. And here we go in the corner. Dan and Cordial. Cordial takes over. An awkward touch. Dan all alone in the 50. Quickly done. And Carolina up one already.
That's how you find yourself in good position. Dan, seeing where Cordial's wanting to take that, he's watching the eyes of that defender. Cordial's wanting to take it out, but Dan puts himself in a position to snag that away with the absolute larceny.
Now up the wall, San Antonio trying to take over possession. They'll do just that, though. Tiger will make an early clear. God Kitty over top of one. Demo will slow things down. Now Carolina taking control, up bopping in center, and Cordial will climb up to make the save. And another 50 after that, though Carolina not done yet. They'll take over the ball still, despite all this work, and Dan will score to go up 2.
Slam dunk from Dan for his second goal in only 31 seconds. Barbs is able, but he runs out of boost. We've been seeing that a lot from the San Antonio squad lately. They're boost starved as Carolina Reaper is putting the screws on early.
And Carolina definitely don't want to give up all the momentum that they've gained in the past couple of games. All that traction coming to use here. God Kitty slams the ball into the wall, but unfortunately, the thing about these walls is they don't have any give, so the ball doesn't go anywhere. God Kitty with the backflip in center. Motions will run out of boost, and that could have been an easy punish for either team, but nobody was quite aggressive enough for it.
We really saw a triple commit in slow motion from Carolina as Tiger again doing his best San Antonio impression, going up for a ball with no boost, and then a double commit for the defenders behind him. San Antonio missing a key opportunity.
And now Dan going to send it back out. Motions, touches it forward. They definitely wanted it to go more forward than that, though, as that went off the ceiling and back down. In the center, though, 50 from God Kitty. That could have been a punish there from Motions. The demo will open things up. Dan moving forward, has boost to work with, room to run with, but they'll waste it all with a simple chip. God Kitty up the wing, has boost to follow, one-on-one with Dan here. And Dan's out of boost, so they leave it for Motions. Into the corner looking to shoot, but they don't have boost either. And nobody from Carolina too interested in scoring, which they shouldn't be, considering that they're up 2.
No, with Motions AX with a beautiful play in the corner to take it away from a clearing opportunity from San Antonio, but lacking that crucial support from your teammates to take any second chances and mop them up.
And now Carolina still with possession in the offensive zone as Dan here takes over, having picked up 100 in that middle right boost if you're coming from the Carolina zone. Now, off the back, Dan taking over off the back wall, has room to bounce. It does. Tiger's there who tries to shoot, but Cordial makes a 50 happen. Motions back up off a chip, and they don't get the takeoff they want. Dan shoots, and that wasn't too threatening for San Antonio. Carolina with a miss, though, and I think San Antonio just can't get out of their own end right now. This is what I'm noticing.
No, we're seeing a callback to when really Carolina stepped it up in game 3 in that do or die scenario. Here in an exact same situation, they're just peppering it. We still haven't left the San Antonio goal.
Yeah, they have been up here for quite a while. They've set up camp, a tent, a fire, everything, and Dan there is going to give them even more time to set up the pressure cooker, which is definitely starting to heat up and scream, I guess is what you would call a pressure cooker that's just about ready. But Dan here firing off the back wall, and God Kitty sends it out. Finally, it's past that midfield line, but it's not for long. Tiger, oh no! Why would you do that? That doink goal steal attempt ends up with no goal at all.
Almost seemingly feeling the breathing defender down his neck. He tries to doink it on a reverse angle without even looking at the net. Unfortunately for him, he saves a shot.
Happened to back. Anyway, Coral there with a goal. Tiger touches it forward. God Kitty on the 50. This finds its way back in. And now San Antonio are within one.
Apologies for that delay. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but finally San Antonio mounting a comeback. They've got a minute and a half to avoid the reverse sweep.
And now Dan forward trying to make something happen, and that sure came together for Carolina, but San Antonio holding on for now. Up the wing, Cordial trying to make a 50 happen into the corner. Tiger sends it back out. God Kitty keeps it alive, though. And another touch. This almost finds its way center, but that was all their boost. They pick up 100, actually. Now they're big threat bumping and left and right, and Barbs will score. What a play by God Kitty.
Sometimes the hardest ball to deal with is one that's in close, not moving anywhere, as we see bumping and grinding bumper cars right in front of the Carolina goal, as we're all tied up with under a minute left in Game 5, Week 2, Macaroni.
Taking the phrase game of inches to a whole new level. Got that boost with the back of their car as it respawned, and that was the difference maker. They did not have the time to get to that player and bump them. If not for that boost that they picked up, they were at 0. And that is the difference between life or death here in this series right now, is we're all tied up because of that. But here comes God Kitty again with no boost in the same corner. Look out, I heard he's dangerous in this type of situation. But no goal this time as Dan follows up. Really, that was something special. I can't get over that.
Stalwart play from Motions AX on the wall as well, getting a crucial clear with that San Antonio revenge in everything, including name, coming in hot.
And now Tiger going to send up the wing for Motions, who looks to make a golden goal happen in these final seconds. This finds its way through. Tiger shoots, but that won't come together. Final seconds, it hits the ground, it's over, and we go to overtime. Motions keeps it alive. Bold choice here, though the offensive push won't work out. So next goal takes the whole bag of jelly beans.
Motions AX really trying to take advantage of a little bit of a mismatch from San Antonio late, as we see San Antonio firing out guns blazing, as they're the only ones to bring a cheating up offender on that kickoff.
God Kitty up there, but no boost. They run out on their takeoff, and ball will sit around midfield. Cordial tries to take over. Tiger forward has a lead blocker, though. They're too stuck up in the corner to make anything happen. Barbs touches this in. Motions will get a clear, but Barbs is still there and touches it down gently. Gets it past 2. Now suddenly it's a 3-on-1 if they're fast enough, though. Tiger will beat the one player directly on the ball. So the immediate danger relieved. But 2 players in the corner, 1 in goal, and San Antonio not able to capitalize right now. Not looking good for them here on offense.
What you're seeing is a team panicking. 2 crucial defensive gaffes early on, as we see almost their story come to an end, but Dan is able to avoid that. We've seen 2 mistimed double commits here in Game 5 overtime, possibly the worst time to have them.
Now that pinch, although I don't think Dan was too interested in the pinch, Motions made use of the side of their parked car to make it happen. Here they come now down the wing, looking for bumps. Cordial won't get any. Barbs has to turn off. God Kitty shoots! Empty net, actually, but took long enough for them to turn back around and make the save. 2 players miss. Dan now up the wing in the corner, looking to send it center. It works out. Nobody's there, and both players miss, but no Carolina shooter. Tiger forward for that 50. It's going to come back in a similar situation, but Barbs now quick to the ball, goes center, and again, more chances back and forth. Cordial shoots, and Dan will close off the corner. Both teams are a car length away from scoring here, but nobody's making it happen.
We're seeing Carolina resume and kind of recompose their posture, as we're seeing a little bit smarter plays. We're seeing them return to form with those team plays and a little bit less of those double commits that we saw early in this overtime period.
Oh no. Oh, I thought it might have ended like that, as Barb's got a slow roller moving towards the net, but it hits that wall and goes up, coming back into the box. Now Tiger with a miss. Cordial's there, and Dan quick to get back to it to stop them from that open net. That could have been the mistake that ended it all.
San
And now
Antonio
it's
trying to climb the summit of Mount Spice. We're seeing a
ooh.
little bit of defensive rotational breakdown again from Carolina. They are not being punished for these mistakes.
Yeah, and San Antonio are just pretty much playing with the ball at this point. Tiger takes over, touches it forward, looking to finish. This will come off the curved part of the ceiling, but a great read. Now suddenly it's a counterattack if they're quick enough off the corner, popping center. The shot from God Kitty, and it's in, and that is it. Carolina, they fought hard and valiantly, but they finally crumble under the pressure, and San Antonio escapes.
Carolina finally seeing a little bit of a miscue on their clears. They've been really good at keeping those clears tight all throughout this matchup, even when things were tight. But unfortunately for Motions AX, clearing it off of his own corner, setting it up for God Kitty, and their story comes to a close. What an outstanding performance from the Reaper to try to make a comeback all the way to the bitter end.
Carolina are going to go down 0-2, but this is definitely one that could have gone either way. A game 5 overtime. That's how close the series was when it was all said and done. And it looked like Carolina was the stronger team all around, but all it took was San Antonio to break through one game while Carolina was hot. That's exactly what they did. They've got themselves a nice series win.
And especially from the newcomer Dan to this Carolina squad. This is his first series of this season. And really, I mean, if you had to point, Tiger was great in his control, Motions was great in his defensive prowess, but Dan was really the finisher of this squad tonight.
And unfortunately, speaking of finishers of squads, that's the finish to both of these squads that we just watched. It was quite the great series, but we've got another one for you, believe it or not. The action doesn't end here. We've got ourselves a short little break, and we'll be back with more Rocket League action. Please stay tuned.